I'd like to talk a little bit about what's next. If you look at the last night news, there was the saying that GDP in the first quarter of the US was negative 4.8%. And they said that was the first negative since 2012-13. But if we look at the last crisis, which was the hamburger crisis, at the lowest point of the hamburger crisis, the GDP of the US was down by about 8%. So, the news was saying, well, unfortunately, this 4.8% drop was only the beginning. And also it said that, in the second quarter, the poll came out and showing that the US GDP will drop by about 30 to 50%. So I joined a conference in the US. There was about 200 CEOs joining. The first person he asked was that, what do you think the oil price would be at the end of 2021? The answer was short, $30. At least the outlook from the oil and gas company was quite bad. At the end of next year, they're still seeing that oil price was still around $30 per barrel. And then there was another guy spoke as well. So there was questions asked, how long it would take for the vaccine to be developed. The guess is that could be the first quarter of next year, but still a lot to be done. The main reason is that all these plasma and so on and so forth will still have to be proven. But I think the projection was that at best the vaccine will be first quarter of next year. A lot of other CEOs was speaking. One message is clear. Digital transformation is already a certainty. And they were talking about, not just retail, not just online and so on. They were talking about digital twin, digital simulation, and so on. That's, I think, the next phase. Because that has already proven that for the companies that invested in those digital technology, ability to predict, ability to simulate the situations, ability to allow people to work from remote areas. Those companies, at least for now, survived and seems to do quite well. So I think that was the consensus from yesterday. In that case, maybe we should be talking about what do we do next. This is something that you guys already know. This is the stages of the pandemic. I said, well, first stage is, like February in Thailand, okay? Very minimal, some imported case. We were not so sure whether February come to March. Looked like March we are stage 2, and we were worried that stage 3 will come. Fortunately, I don't know whether it's luck or our efforts, but anyway, we announced the lockdown, and we have been able to stay at the stage 2. But there are some countries that could not control. Then you become stage 3. And then if it's really out of control, then you go to stage 4. But one thing I would like to communicate is that this stage can be shifted. Now we are stage 2. Looks like we're going to try to reopen. I'm not so sure when. But if we do reopen, there's a question whether we go to 3 or we can stay at 2. And every individual countries are the same until we find a cure. On one side, you have business, you have economy on the other side. Every market that we are operating, in every industry that we are operating, my guess is February, and we see the downturn. We don't know, how steep the downturn will be. Our concern is how do I ensure the safety of my people and to protect our business. And as we go down and down, we started to see, okay, maybe some business, we already reached the bottom. We have to remind ourselves, please be prepared for the W. Because, even if we see the bottom and then we started to see some up, it can be another down again. And the main reason is that the nature of the virus is still not clear. That's something that I picked from yesterday's conference, whether it will come back. We probably know by summer. So, business in this case, in this crisis, follow the virus. Now, we know roughly the shape. We don't know how deep, and we don't know how long is the downturn. Most people would say, well, it's a big challenge. I would like to share with you, maybe the concept that I think is simple because it's only 2 words. Act now or plan now. During the crisis, we have only act now. We don't really have that much time to plan anything, Okay, there is the possibility of our people that got infected. So, we act now and we do physical distancing. We employ the quarantine, the workplace, and we mandate everyone to go to work at home. And then we keep on adding that. We do financial stability. We also do the meeting the customer requirement, making sure that the supply chain and operations are intact. And we have time to help the community and the society. Many times I have said that I really admire. And not only admire, I also encouraged, that we think not only about ourselves, but also think about, how we can do what we can do to help the others as well. But at some point of time, there will be something that we have to think, plan. And if we can do, we shift from plan to act. Digital transformation, look at the market behavior. We look at, portfolio of our business. What business seems to perform? What business doesn't seem to perform? Is that permanent, or is that something that once the COVID is gone, it will come back? I put this small line called emerge stronger. I know that today might not be a good time to talk about this, but throughout SCG history, we survived many crises. On the back of my mind, I still hope that we cannot just only survive. I hope that we can be stronger after the crisis. The question is that, if half of the industry players survive, can we be the stronger one after the crisis? What have we done from now until the end of the crisis that would allow us to be stronger than the others company? Just like life is all balancing, At the time of the crisis, you select and you prioritize only the things that is only necessary. How to be a little bit stronger after the crisis. And if you want to be a little bit better than that, you know what level of efforts you should spend in what act now or what plan now, and when to move the plan now to act now. I think really great companies can do that. I feel just like everyone else that the past month or 2 months seems very long. So I have, a lot of observations, realizing that it's only 2 months that we got into this crisis. But I have quite a good long list. One is proactive and adaptability. That's go hand in hand. You proactive, you try to predict what's going to come next, and you try to adapt. Secondly is resilience. Resilience, ability to have a strong mind, to fight through the crisis. And you also realize that this is going to be long, so you don't mind making many mistakes. When I mentioned about priorities, we seem to make a list of this is 10 of my wish list. And then I put number 1, number 2, number 3 to number 10. So you have 10, and you have number 1, number 2, number 3 as the priority. 1 is the things that you cannot do, but keep you worried. The other things that you can do, and you are so worried. So let's do that list first before you come out with a list of 10 wish list. Let's say we are in Philippines. Sometime in March, put in the total lockdown. I remember that, okay, if you go out of home without license, you can be put in jail. So to run the factory during that time is impossible. So, I mean, you can put that in the first priority that, okay, please try to run the factory. But, there's no possibility that you can actually go out. So why worry about running the factory? That should be in the bucket of what we worry very much, but we cannot do anything about it. And of course, once you start to see some reopening, you put in the bucket of the things that we worry and the things that we can do. Digital transformation, I mentioned about it, starting from even the way to work, the way we operate our factories, the way we run our supply chain. If the technology allows us to do that at this time, you can imagine how effective it would be to do that after the COVID. If technology allows you to run the operations today, you will likely achieve zero-based costing when the COVID ends. Means that you can grow your business without adding cost. The other thing I don't know whether it's good or not, but it's at least my observation, is what I call relevancy test. What this crisis had shown me is that, our basic necessities reduced down to only what's necessary. So if your customers still think about you and buying from you at this time, I'm sure that you will do quite fine after the COVID. If you stop operations and the customers say, well, if you stop, I stop. That means you're still very, very relevant to your customers. When the Bangkok locked down, when Jakarta locked down, when Philippines locked down, I kind of feel that I got locked down as well. So on one hand, I feel that, I can still function. I don't know whether it's better or not, but I feel that at least my legs got locked. And this is saying that, well, even with the lockdown SCG, we still can achieve this. So if we plan our future correctly, if we really nail down a few things that we like to do, and if we just put the kind of energy, the kind of concentration, the kind of efforts, our team A, to do it from now until the end of the crisis, I'm sure that we can get stronger. We already see what the lockdown SCG can achieve. So just imagine once we unlock SCGs, the kind of potential that we can achieve. P. Vishan mentioned about reimagination. I think that's a very great concept. It's basically saying, well, whatever happened in the past, now we have the new, people say new normal. Sometimes people want to differentiate from new normal, they say next normal. But anyway, ability to recognize the shift. But this shift, keep in mind that it's not only industry, but it's also throughout the past 2 months, you already see the government regulatory is doing to our business model. And I'm sure after the COVID, that regulatory intervention will continue. Good or bad or not, I don't know. So it will be interesting how these challenges, how this period will come about. So, this is the tool to make the big move. I don't know whether it's the good time to talk about this or not. I think we all have to determine together. Should we talk now about M&A, reallocation of resources, CapEx, productivity, and differentiation? These are all the things that, at some point of the recovery, we have to do. I like to talk a little bit about us as the leaders of the company. Just like business, in time of crisis, you identifying companies that thrive, survive, emerge from the crisis. You also identifying the companies that don't survive, fail, gone after the crisis. Leaders are the same. To look for the brave men, I can be woman as well, I guess. The quality of the bravery is showing during the time of crisis. And the quality of leaderships will demonstrate best during the time of crisis. But mindset is the number one. Good leaders have the good mindset, face the challenges. Reimagination, I think that's quite clear. We know that a lot will change. So I guess in order to have the leadership attitude, we have to have a little bit of imaginations of what's going to be like. We always say, well, we cannot do everything ourselves. But this crisis, add one word, we cannot do anything fast. The co-creation and the partnership is going to be the key for our leaders in the future. I used the words of customer requirement. A good example is this morning. To ensure that we have the good delivery service, but good experience means more than that. You deliver more than the requirement. So I kind of like this word more. Let's look at the behavior and let's imagine what kind of experience they will have that will allow us to be a stronger company. So I kind of like this experience because I think, and it applies to both B2B and B2C. And lastly, crisis is about choice. It's really no black and white. Even today, a lot of countries are still talking about, health or economy. It's all difficult choices. Continuity or reality. We all have to make choice, and leaders do make choice. That's what I'm paid for. I don't know when the Bangkok is going to open. I hope soon. I think we all hope that at some point we can open. But one thing that we have to ask is that open means go back to the old way or not. One thing that is important to keep in mind, if open and we say, okay, we go back to February, we do the same. We have to think what kind of message we are telling our team on that. So after opening, we go back to the old SCGs. Are we better off or are we worse off if we are the old SCG? Going back to the old way is not an option. The mindset is important. Capabilities, that's something that we have to think about. What kind of capabilities our people need so that we don't fall back to the old way. Strategy, I think that will come. Ways of work. The past 1.5 months, our management meet every week. I guess the question is that after COVID, do we go back to the old way? Today in the US, the average of companies, that people work from home is about 10%. But after COVID, they said that it will grow from 10 to 30%. I guess the question is that what's for SCG? I think we have a few months to think about that before we start implementing. But hopefully we don't say, well, let's go back to the old way. That's all I want to say. We have done a very good job coming to this point, and I think we all have to decide what we're going to do next. And I don't really have an answer for you because I think each business are different. Each works, each unit that you are in are different. But I just want to present that, there's something that we have at least to keep on the back of our mind.